Prophetic here. I'm just doing a mini series on marketing and communications and how it can help open source project leaders. So I'll start off with what marketing is not, because that's a big um, misunderstanding when people think of marketing. First, they think marketing is just about having a website. Just having a website and maybe doing some social media posts can count as marketing. Definitely not. That's more about branding and um, having a online presence. And social media posting, while it can be marketing, is just one aspect of it. What people get really tripped up with when it comes to the website aspect is thinking that graphic design is marketing, getting really fancy and trying to hunker down on what colors should we use, what style of button is going to make a difference. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when it comes to that. When it comes to the graphic design, as long as it's not atrocious, you should be fine, and you should be okay in the long run. Another thing that people confuse marketing with is like sales and fundraising. That is a goal of marketing, is to communicate something that generates some type of action eventually. That could be donations of some kind, and that's a good start, but isn't marketing itself. Um, Before we get into the actual definition of marketing, I want to call out these other definitions, because marketing is not branding. It could be an element of it, but it's not marketing in itself. So, branding is like marketing without a specific agenda other than having some type of emotional association or status association with a brand, with it or entity. So when you see a Nike billboard and they have like some type of like peak athlete, that's branding. You're associating Nike with championship caliber athletes. Um, it's okay not to measure ROI on that, because really you're just setting down the groundwork for other forms of marketing. So when people think about branding, branding is more of a long term goal. You just want to throw things out there so that you saturate the audience with such an awareness that when something does come to mind, they think of you. And so that's the goal of branding and branding awareness and associations. On the other extreme, you have advertising. Advertising is more of a short term transaction that they use marketing and maybe some sales techniques to get you to take action on some type of engagement. So when you see buy X product for Y percentage off until until Z date, that's more of an ad. When you have a post that you boost in hopes to get an email address for a newsletter, that's technically an ad. You placed an ad in exchange for email opt-in, or an ad for a fundraising campaign, like you saw with KDE. I'm not sure if they actually paid ads, but that's would be an example if they did. And then you have marketing is not communications. Part of marketing that can help prepare expectations. So if you have a new volunteer onboarding to your project, it's important to use communications to prepare expectations, but that in itself is not marketing. So this is why sometimes I actually make a distinction between marketing and communications, especially when it comes to open source, because marketing on the external side of like getting eyes on the project, helping people learn more about what you do is one thing. The other half, which I'm really passionate about, is communications. Once they know what you're about and they want to take action, maybe as a volunteer, someone who helps with documentation, how are you communicating methods and tools to help them accomplish that? And so that's really important to do and to get right, is communications. How you communicate with your volunteers, how you communicate with members in the community is a communications domain. is not necessarily part of marketing literally. So I like to create some distinction on that. At the end of the day, there's a textbook definition. I'll give you my definition, but the textbook definition is marketing is defined by the American Marketing Association as the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. That is just to me, that's a big nothing burger. I'm not crazy about that definition. To me, marketing is creating the conditions or an atmosphere of awareness, whether it's in a physical location or in digital space, with the ultimate goal of having someone know something or do something you think is important. That's the ultimate goal of marketing, is that they know something and do something that you qualify as important. And so this is where we get this distinction of marketing versus advertising, because it's the ultimate goal. You put some branding materials out there, which is a subsegment of marketing, and you hope that eventually one day they'll take action. Or if you do an advertisement, you're looking for immediate action. So branding and advertising are like the children of marketing and communications. They're downshoot of marketing. So marketing is a huge umbrella term. And this is why I get bothered by people who think they think marketing is just like this one-dimensional thing that just creates work for everybody, doesn't have any value, as if no one has ever figured out how to do marketing well. And they just kind of like crap on marketing in open source environments. Sorry, you just don't know enough about the topic to really speak to it, nor translate it in an open source domain. And I think that's the nut that I'm trying to crack, is how to help projects, should they want to. Not everyone wants to, and that's okay. And we could talk about it in another video. But for those who do want to help their community flourish, to help their project grow in a healthy way, not trying to be sleazy and try to game some type of algorithm and then be shocked at if it actually takes off. They're crushed by the weight of all the pressure of all the inbound. But how do you take marketing communications as tools in the toolbox and leverage healthy growth that can benefit you and also benefit the developers who are doing this in their free time? You know, how do you make it more fun, more engaging, more rewarding, and when possible, more financially worth their while? And it doesn't always have to be like a monetary thing, like, oh, I got to pay them now. No, we're not talking about that. But man, you know, gift cards can go a long way. You know, getting a group of people together to chip in for hardware, that could go a long way. Well, that takes marketing and communication coordination. Is that such an evil thing to think about? So this is where we really got to get serious about what these terms mean. And just like with any tool, it's how you use it that determines its value or its ethics. So just like with a computer, you can be a black hat hacker or a white hat hacker, you know, or it all depends on what you're doing and how you use it. So with that said, Prophetic is out. I'm going to be doing a mini series for this marketing piece, and hopefully it can help someone out there. Again, this is not going to be for anyone. People just want to ship their code and throw it on GitHub or GitLab and just be done with it. This is not for you. It's for those who are maybe starting out in their project and they see what it's like to go down that path of just grinding, coding, and they see all the burnout and all the projects that just eventually kind of get crushed by the weight of its success, or they grind and they don't see anything, and they get all the pressure on them and think that they're alone. And so this is a way to get a healthy balance of just like progress, but healthy progress. And yeah, hope this helps someone. Catch you guys later. See ya.